What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and I'm raising my fist in the air in honor of, this is so cheesy, the 40th anniversary of The Breakfast Club. This is such an iconic moment. I'm supposed to be doing it while I'm walking away from the camera, but I'm just sitting here in a chair. If you're blind and low vision, you wouldn't know that. But I did raise my fist, like Judd Nelson, at the end of this movie. This is going to be a look back at an iconic work of art. So click like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Join my cult following here on YouTube, where we talk about film. And I'm blind, and I talk about going into blind, and other people say they do, and I don't. I actually do. I naturally, because I am. So this had audio description, which is great because a lot of classic films haven't had the time yet to get audio description applied to them. And it's one of the reasons that encouraged me to review it for its 40th anniversary. I've also seen Breakfast Club, actually own the DVD, on DVD. And it's written and directed by John Hughes. This is largely considered not just a film classic, because I don't think everybody, when they're creating their list of the greatest films of all time, always put Breakfast Club up there, but it's like a different sort of level of classic. It's one of those things that has an indelible part of cinema, and it means something to kids who grew up in the 80s. This was like a moment for them, and it's actually a really good movie. I would make a case that this easily could have gotten an Oscar nomination for Judd Nelson. I think he's terrific in this. It's the best performance he's ever had in his career, really. But the whole cast has their little brief moments, and it's an iconic cast full of people. But The Breakfast Club is just, I don't know. Do kids get Saturday school anymore? Does this movie even make sense to people? I think we're so worried about making parents upset that I don't think we do Saturday school anymore. I think you either get in-school suspension or just straight up suspension. I'm not even sure we do detention anymore. I don't know what we do, because now it's all about parents winning and parents being mad at teachers. So who knows what happens anymore with with the discipline of kids in some areas. I don't know. They just get, I don't know, looked at with stern looks when they don't do well. I have no idea, but I'm pretty certain they don't traipse people out for Saturday school, because even when I was a kid, it was rare. It was so rare. I only had one ever. Lots of detentions, but only one Saturday school ever. In-school suspension for some reason stopped when I got to high school. They just didn't have a room for it or something. So that was for little kids or something. We're just gonna put you in a room all day, away from everybody else and your friends. You don't get to socialize. Stops in high school, where you do the most socializing. So Breakfast Club, it's these 5 kids getting dropped off, and they're all completely different. They're all archetypes, which is the point of the movie, is that they can all come together and they find that they all have something in common but amongst themselves, and they're changed forever, literally changed forever by this movie. I mean, people have relationships and stuff, and they do the hard work. This is like therapy. It's amazing what happens in this is almost like a paid program for Saturday school. No, you should want your kid to go to Saturday school. Look how great these kids turned out at the end of The Breakfast Club. Man, their lives are just completely different, and they're on the right path. You can tell this was a transformative moment for them, being one of 5 people in a library for 9 hours. This has changed everything. I love how Ally Sheedy's character, for example, for most of the movie, she doesn't talk. So she's referred to as the quiet girl in audio description because this film follows the sort of the old school way of doing audio description where if you don't know someone's name, you gotta go by a descriptor. And they went with quiet girl for her. I guess her looks are not, she's nothing discernible, but I mean, there are. I kind of remember what Ally Sheedy looked like. And they just went with quiet girl. And, you've got Emilio Estevez playing the jock. He's got his football jersey jacket on, his Letterman jacket. And obviously Judd is the outcast, the loner, the lone wolf. He's the troublemaker. At one point he's called the criminal. Anthony Michael Hall is the nerd with kind of an interesting twist that really doesn't play well in 2025. Like, I don't think they would make this movie in 2025, which is why you have to go back and watch The Breakfast Club, because this movie in 2025 has a completely different connotation. It's very quaint. We'll talk about it because this movie's 40 years old. Don't worry, I'm going to get into it. And last but not least, we have is she a cheerleader? Is she just the princess at Molly Ringwald? I think she's just the princess. I don't think she's a cheerleader. I think she's just like the popular princess girl, like pretty and everything like that. So, yeah, and they're all stuck in the same room together, and they've got this overbearing, power hungry, angry at the world, teacher that watches over them from another room and constantly like leaves them alone, and has this really contentious relationship primarily with Judd's character. And that was one of the things that I wanted to talk about in terms also of audio description with Judd's character, is because his name isn't revealed a couple times. We change his name 3 times, which I thought was weird. So he's first described by what he is, and then when we hear a last name, we go for a while with his last name, and then finally he's John. And I'm like, I don't know that we needed to evolve his name again, because his last name was fine. They called him by his last name, or the teacher did, and then we evolved it again. For some characters, sure, because you're in some sort of like weird, like mystery movie where somebody is pretending to be somebody they're not, and then you find out who they really are, and then you're like, oh, well, that's not really who you are, so let's find out who you are again. But here it just felt like unnecessary to keep changing his name over and over. I would have, like, a little bit more of the consistency. I would have just gone with, once you change away from the archetype and you land on the name. So, because I don't think anybody else went from archetype to last name to first name. So it was weird that he did. Anyway, just a little thought that I had about otherwise I like the audio description track. From everything that I remember about Breakfast Club, I'm not going to say, because I'm not old enough, this is not my movie. I was 2 when this movie came out, so I did not grow up with The Breakfast Club. My teen movies were like She's All That, Varsity Blues, American Pie. Like, that was my generation of coming of age stuff that we had. So Breakfast Club to me was the previous generation, so it means more to them, like as most John Hughes movies do. So hello, if you're over the age of 50, welcome. This movie probably, hits you a little bit harder, but there's still, like with most John Hughes movies, the ability to sit down and watch it and go, wow. I do kind of have a little bit of a problem. I reviewed 16 Candles for its anniversary last year, and that Asian gong thing, it really doesn't play well. It's all this time later. This like little like racist, like every time he comes in the room, there's got to be like this gong. It's just like, oh, oof. But luckily in Breakfast Club, these are 5 white kids, so it's like the whitest little group of a gang of kids. White kids get into trouble too. I don't know if you know that. So actually, this movie is somewhat progressive because if they made it today, it would seem like it was, and somebody would lean into it, and then they would say, "Oh, it's we're doing diversity," and it's like, but are you? I feel like, we're like what 10 years away from Dangerous Minds, from being like, oh, we got to save the inner city youth, and it's like a completely different experience. Meanwhile, like the biggest concern is Judd Nelson in this movie. Like the other four are just they're all kind of fine. They have their individual problems, but their problems are not the same as if you were to make a movie about inner city youth and a teacher that has to come in there and slap a ruler, and suddenly that classroom and set of kids looks completely different than the Breakfast Club. So yeah, it's not lost on me and how this has a representational thing also that way. But you just got 5 kids who wouldn't be friends otherwise. We're stuck together for 9 hours, and it's fun to watch them do this. And it's the kind of formula that we've reused before. It has some really strong moments. I love Judd Nelson's great when he's doing, because you don't know what he's doing at first. If you haven't seen the movie, when he's talking about and making fun of Anthony Michael Hall and his his home life. Hey, Dad, how was work? Good, son. How are you? Like, and he does that for like back and forth, and then somebody asks him like, "Well, what's it like in your house?" And it's like it goes like super dark, and um, and his home life is just like just terrible, and yeah, so we do get to see some of their parents as they get dropped off at the thing, and specifically Emilio Estevez's dad is like, this isn't going to look good for recruiters, this kind of stuff. So, but yeah, so the reason Anthony Michael Hall is here is because he brought a gun to school, which doesn't play well 40 years later. It's weird that in 1985 you could pull that off and get Saturday school, but in 2025 you bring it to school, even if it's just for you, even if somehow you convince the world that it was for you and not for anybody else, then it still is like, I mean, like you're a push notification. You know what I'm saying? Like the school is on lockdown, parents get notified. It's not the same sort of like laissez-faire thing where the kid shows up at Saturday school and just gets to hang out with everybody anymore. We're in a completely different place. That's why I said it's quaint. It's very, sadly, we've allowed our world to become a place where a kid like Anthony Michael Hall would be in jail, even if that was just for him. Like, he wouldn't be able to get the kind of help. He's not getting really any help here either. Like, this is not therapy. I mean, it's disguised as therapy, and he uses it as therapy, and he even gets a nice little kiss in at the end. But he certainly becomes less geeky. Anthony Michael Hall was so trapped in these geek roles in the 80s. But yeah, it's not, I don't know that the film necessarily solves his problems, but it is really odd to look at it and go, oh yeah, that's why he's here. Damn, we can't, if we remade this movie, it would have to be a different reason why he was here. He'd be like, well, I don't know if you know this, but I used AI on a paper. I was too burned out, and I used AI. It would have like a totally different meaning. So, it's if you haven't seen The Breakfast Club, you should. It's definitely one of John Hughes's best movies, especially of his films aimed at teen audiences. I think it might be his best. He has some other films that he worked on that are aimed more at adults, or families, like Home Alone. So he has other movies, but as far as the ones that are aimed specifically at this demographic, I think Breakfast Club is the pinnacle of his achievements. So, which is why I wanted to review it for its 40th anniversary, and get into it. It moves at a quick pace for a movie that's supposed to take place over the course of 9 hours. Thank God it doesn't take place in real time. And John Hughes was always a pretty strong writer, so his characters have the kind of dialogue that feels like it moves sort of very organically. And these kids, they feel like actual kids. He was able to sort of capture what that felt like. And I think that's why his films in the 80s hit so well, is because people actually did see themselves in John Hughes movies. So, and they felt heard and represented when, the teacher character comes in and is a dick and is presented as one, and they're like, oh yeah, I have that guy at my school too, and he's a dick. Thanks for presenting him that way. So, it's interesting to think of how The Breakfast Club has aged and also has not aged over the course of 40 years, how it's still relevant, how you can still pull things from this. And yes, if it was made in 1995, it would be different. If it was made in, 2005, the cast would be different. If it was made in 2015, cast would be different. I mean, and then their problems would be different. It would be totally shaped differently, the situations. So this is a very 80s movie, but it's one that still holds up, I think. It just feels 80s, but that's fine, because we watch plenty of movies that take place, the brand new movies that are period pieces that take place in other time periods. So why couldn't we watch something that was made in that time period that feels very much of its time period, but still has a lot of themes and ideas and characters and acting and performances and direction and writing and everything that still holds up today. And some great music, by the way. That the closing song is great, right, as Judd Nelson. And but the funny thing is, I knew that the fist pump was coming, and I was like, how did they capture that? I was so waiting. I was waiting. I was like, wait, I don't want to miss it. I don't want to miss it. I don't want to miss it. I don't want to miss it, because they freeze frame on it. So, yeah, it was good. It was good. Yeah, they get the fist bump in the air, and how it just freezes on him and cuts black. Yeah. So, yeah, The Breakfast Club. 40 years. Man. God, this cast is old. We haven't seen enough of them recently. They're not all doing a lot. Obviously we just saw them. If you saw the documentary last year, Brats, you saw like a couple of them pop up in that, since they were considered Brat Packers. But I don't know. I feel like we could definitely use more of them in our lives. Emilio Estevez was on that Mighty Ducks reboot that got canceled, and now I don't know what he's doing. Anthony Michael Hall popped up in that awful Jessica Alba movie last year. So cast them? I don't know. Ally Sheedy, Molly Ringwald. I know she was on Riverdale for a while. So, but they should still be making an impact. I think a lot of people still know who they are, and in an age of legacy sequels where we keep wanting to relive the past, it makes sense to try to find something for these people to do, reboot something, revive something. The Breakfast Club 40 years later, where are they? What are they doing? Have them meet for actual breakfast. No, don't. You would have to have the right director. You'd have to have the right writer and right director for that, because you have to have somebody who can sort of capture the John Hughes-ishness of it to be able to reunite. If it's not the right person, then it doesn't work. Maybe like Richard Linklater could do it. I don't know, but that's it. Breakfast Club. It's not a desert island movie for me because, again, I didn't grow up with it, but it's a film that I look at it and I go, I don't know what's wrong with this movie. I can't. It's when you put it in its time capsule in 1985. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I can ding it for diversity, for lack of diversity, but the cast is so small that it's almost like saying that there can't be. It's also very sort of regressive to say that there can't just be 5 white kids in trouble. That one of them has to be a minority. Like, it's sort of the wrong message to send. I mean, in many ways, it's like, yes, we should have a diverse cast. You know, it's weird to revisit Jaws at 50 and be like, is everybody here white? You know, because it's like a whole town full of people just out on an. But no, now you're like, well, 5 kids are in trouble, so we got to make sure there's diversity there. Do we? Like, I feel like that's not the same message. It's like doing a prison drama and like, oh, there's all these white people in prison. Why aren't there any? Where's the diversity? I think that's just like the wrong. That's not the message that we should be sending in certain films. It's like, these people are in trouble. Where are the black people? Like, I don't think that's an actual message that we should be sending. So I think The Breakfast Club is just fine as is. No notes, no changes, keep it. It's just that obviously Anthony Michael Hall's crime, if it was for, would have to be completely different today, because he would never just walk back into school for Saturday school. So I'm gonna give it an A. Yeah, the audio description, I liked it. I just don't. I don't think I would have changed his name 3 times. I would have changed it once and then left it and then gone with that. So anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and stay cool in school. Kids, stay in school, kids, and maybe you can be a part of the Breakfast Club and get the girl at the end. I'll see you guys on the other side.